I kind of begrudgingly respect just the dedication to not getting better at what you do for a living. Just coast through life.
It probably shouldn't even happen.
If you got it, you got to flaunt it, Acid.
You know what? I got a lot of stuff that I don't want to flaunt, so I just keep it to myself.
Jeremy is really big into the used mattresses. I think that's an excellent deal.
He has a used mattress store on the side.
I'm not going to pull the pants down without the pants down cue.
And we found out that Anthony's friends are all 13-year-old boys. Nice.
Clay, how you doing?
Doing a little more poorly after that terrible introduction. I was just fine, to be honest with you.
You see, of the many reasons I chose Georgia Tech, one in particular stands out above the rest. I am going to build the Iron Man suit. That's right, as cute as my application essays were, green energy and world peace can wait. I want to fly around the world in an impenetrable suit of armor, dating Gwyneth Paltrow. And really, I like to think that's why we're all here.
Hello, sci-fi gangsters. This is the show where we talk about science fiction, comic books, and video games, but really it's just an excuse for me to catch up with my friends and to meet interesting people. I'm Anthony Denar, media scholar and person who slept in this morning, but it ended up working out okay because I did the time zone calculation incorrectly. So Nick was ready to go at our 8 a.m. I thought we were supposed to meet at 7 a.m. It actually worked out pretty well, but today's we don't really have a topic for today. I am just excited about the guest that we have here today, Nick Selby. Nick, how you doing?
Excellent, thank you. How are you, Anthony?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'll kind of get to why I wanted to have you on the show and the things that we'll be talking about here in a second. But thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
My pleasure.
And of course, I got to introduce the producer of the show. Literally could not do this without him. I've tried it a couple of times and it's been very sloppy, not very good. And that is Acidtrain. Acid, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Just ready for this 3-day weekend.
3-day weekend. That means that the kids will be home as well. Obviously my kids have been in various summer camps, enjoying that part. But they'll be home and we'll have some good July 4th holiday things.
Grill those overpriced hot dogs, right?
That's very true. All right, well, let's go ahead and get to the interview of the which is going to be the primary focus of this particular episode. All right, so let me go ahead and paint the scene here. All right, so I've been a public speaking teacher for about 5 years at Auburn University, and throughout the semester show various examples of great public speaking. When we get to the end of the semester, I always pick one video, and that is a video of a commencement speech, something like that, a graduation, not a graduation speech, but it features Nick Selby, a viral hit. And every year I show it as a great example. So I've seen the video countless times. Maybe we could post the link in the YouTube section here at the bottom, in the comment section, whatever. Go out there, watch it's one of my favorite speeches of all time. It features Nick Selby giving a speech. Really, there's no way to describe it. You have to go watch it. But Nick, I've been wanting to have you on the show for a long time. Didn't really know how to find you. I did a little bit of stalking and I was able to find you. But Nick, I'm so interested to hear the process from the beginning to the end. So first things first, do you mind telling us a little about, what the speech was about and how your process in preparing the speech?
Sure. Well, yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. Everything you said was really, really nice. That's so nice to hear. And I'm really glad you liked the speech. It was really fun to give. I got just like an email blast when I was finishing up my freshman year of college, asking all incoming sophomores if they, if they wanted to give a speech to the incoming, the next year's incoming freshman class at their convocation ceremony, to just like sign up and submit an application about what they wanted their speech to be about. So I did that. I wrote an application, sent it in. And they liked the speech, and so they liked the idea for the speech, so they let me send in a video of myself performing it. So I did, and they liked that too. So they let me go ahead and give the speech to all of the incoming freshmen at the next year's convocation, and that was really exciting. As far as like the process went, the idea for the big conclusion of the speech that ended up going viral came from my old speech and debate coach. I did speech and debate in high school, and I had an absolutely excellent coach named Andy Stone who gave a speech that he ended in a very similar way with a very the music and the "you can do that" message. And I thought that was like the greatest thing that I ever seen in my life. So I asked him if I could use the ending of his speech in my own, and he said yes, absolutely, go for it. So I was absolutely thrilled to hear that, and then got to give that speech in front of the 1,500 incoming students and their families and whatnot at Georgia Tech. So that was really great. I probably rehearsed the speech, I don't know, 4 or 5 dozen times, just making sure I had all of the timing down perfect, right? Because I had to sync everything with the music. Made my family watch it in ungodly number of times, made my friends watch it an ungodly number of times, performed it in front of a mirror ridiculous quantities of times, and then got to give it.
Well, fantastic. I really appreciate, because this should be a message to all my students. When I tell every semester, I'm saying you have to practice your speeches. Now, of course, many of them do not. They just go. It's clear that they did not practice their speeches ahead of time. But it's so very important when you're delivering a speech. You need to practice it, because it's so very important. Especially, obviously, you need to. I don't require memorized speeches, but obviously you can use notes, but I want you to use your notes as little as possible. So you need to practice in order to actually know the content, but also to be able to be comfortable with the speech in general. And really, that's what helps reduce the anxiety that a lot of students have when they're delivering speeches in front of audiences, is that they're just not comfortable in that situation, which makes sense because we're rarely put in that situation. But what I find so interesting is, was this speech something that you had to construct all together and then pitch to the powers that be, so to speak? Or is it something like, I have an idea for this, and then you later on added the music and all that kind of stuff?
Definitely the former. No, I when I submitted the video of like myself performing it as like part of the application process, it was very, very near completed by that point. I made like a few tweaks here and there, and I think in the video I was still like cutting so that I could like remember lines and things like that. But yeah, absolutely, it was very much kind of put all together and then pitched as one unit.
Fantastic. I have more questions, but Acid, do you have a question?
Well, there's of course the ultimate question. I didn't know if we were going to save it to the end or not, but the ultimate question is, did you build the Iron Man suit?
I did not build the Iron Man suit. It's funny, in the speech I have a line. I say that the green energy and world peace can wait, and now I'm working for a green energy company instead of building the Iron Man suit. But it's still really cool tech. Maybe someday I'll get back on it.
That's right. It'll be solar powered.
There you go. Exactly.
You have a lot of solid jokes in the speech, but probably one of my favorite jokes. And it's one of those subtle ones that not a lot of people pick up on, but you essentially say something to the point where, my dream is to fly around in a suit of armor, dating Gwyneth Paltrow. And then you say, and I think that's why we're all here. Like, to me, that's solid. That's
a solid joke.
It got very, very laughter. But every time I hear you say that in my class, I'm like, that's solid. That's a good piece of business right there. That's why we're all here to date Gwyneth Paltrow. Thanks. Fantastic. I really enjoy that.
Exactly. Yeah, most of the jokes that I end up giving in any speech, I usually just do it for myself, and then if other people laugh along, I'm like, oh, good, they like that too.
Another one that's really good, and obviously the crowd doesn't get it yet because they don't know you're doing a comedy thing. But the very first thing you say is something to the extent of, "You're probably all asking why I brought you here," or something like that. That's solid as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's good. Just the assumption that everyone is there to hear you speak when they're forced to be there is just,
Right.
to me, that's fantastic.
Exactly.
It's a great opening line. And I might have stolen that a couple of times.
You are definitely allowed to.
Like an in-class presentation where like everybody is delivering a presentation. You go up and say, I want to thank everyone for coming to see my presentation here today. It's just like, what?
Right.
Like this silliness in that. But I'm actually interested. Obviously, I've delivered speeches in front of audiences. You know, I've done things where I've been in front of crowds. I enjoy the experience. I'm one of the weird people, probably like you, Nick, who, when I see you delivering a speech in front of 200, 300 people, I think to myself, oh, that's fantastic. Oh man, I would love to do that. Right now, I'm interested because you've probably delivered many speeches during the process, that when you're delivering the speech, oftentimes that just flies by without you even remembering the experience. But could you tell us a little bit about the sensation of actually delivering the speech? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, certainly. So I don't know if you probably experienced this too. Whenever you're giving a speech, like I always find it's really helpful for like the butterflies and stuff. When you go up, you like take a beat and like slowly scan over the audience and like take a deep breath before you start talking. And for me, that beginning is like super, super important to calm my nerves and like get me focused in the zone. And B, like it seems like while I'm doing it, it seems to take like a good 5-10 minutes for like me to take that breath. But then when I actually like watch myself giving the speech in a video, it goes by like nothing. And that is very true for like the entirety of the speech, where I really like memorizing. I do not do a very good job trying to improvise any kind of public speaking. And so for the most part, I am trying to maintain like exactly the same style that I have, tried to rehearse so many times. Because by the time I gave that speech when I was rehearsing, I was hitting like within 5 seconds of like the total time to give the speech, like every single time I was rehearsing. And that's how I need to be. Otherwise I'd mess up. So yeah, just like, yeah, the mental zone of just feeding off of the audience in such a way that like, I've practiced for this, I've trained for this, I've got the speech down. I know I do. It's intoxicating and wonderful. And all those butterflies and nervous energy just get channeled into a more energetic performance.
Do you remember, obviously, once again, as someone who has delivered speeches in front of audiences, oftentimes the actual experience is something that kind of just flies by. You kind of go autopilot because you've practiced it so many times. It almost speaks for you. The speech actually just flows from your mouth without you really realizing it. Do you remember a time where you got that first feedback and you're like, oh yes, here we go? Do you remember that moment?
For sure. Yeah, I think especially you pointed out earlier, I also really like the opening joke of "You're probably wondering why I gathered you all together today." I think that's hilarious. But like no one else did at all. Like I got like a small chuckle at best. And so I was like, oh dear, this is rough. And then at one point I told the audience to call their mothers and got like a full round of applause from the parents. And I was like, oh, okay, this is great. Okay, I think I can do this now. And that was very helpful.
Yeah, because once again, I've seen the video hundreds of times because I always play it in my class. And when you start off with that line, I always kind of chuckle to myself. And it's almost like one of those moments where I want to pause the video and say to my class, that was a solid piece of business right there. Let's just all marvel. Let's all marvel at that. But anyways, so fantastic. Man, there's just so many questions to ask you. Were you concerned? Because for me,
I would be so concerned that I would not time it up with the music correctly. Was that a concern for you?
Oh yeah, I was terrified. There's the in also Sprach Zarathustra. There's like the long slow drum build up, and then there's the first da da, and then there's like a second long slow drum build up, and then a second da da, and like while I'm talking, like I can't hear any of the slow quiet build. So by the end of it, I'm just like really hoping that I timed it right. And so the second time when I like just, I don't know, I want to brag a little bit. When I just perfectly hit the mark, right, like ended talking and then the played, I like my little head nod was just like, thank God. Like
I remember the head nod. The head nod is like, yep, here we go. We got it.
Exactly. So yeah, I was very, very terrified, and then hit the mark, and I was like, oh, thank God I did it. And then I could just give the rest of the speech and not have to worry.
Was there a joke that you used or a line that you had where you felt like, oh man, I wish I would have done that differently, or I wish I would have got rid of that?
Yeah, I think in retrospect, I would have probably thrown away most of the first half of the speech, just because it's like 7 minutes is a really long time to give a motivational talk on anything. So I think I would have, in retrospect, cut a lot of like the tips for incoming freshmen, and I would have focused on kind of like the more inspirational stuff rather than the expository informational part.
See, but I disagree.
Some of those tips were pretty good. Yeah, I thought so.
Anyway. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I
enjoyed the whole thing. What's funny to me, too, is like as the camera's panning you and everything, you just kind of notice everyone's sitting behind you and facial expressions and demeanors and all that kind of stuff. When you have, the some that are like following every word that you're saying, and then you have the other ones that are just kind of like, and their big rants and everything.
There's a guy in the back right behind you, Nick, the whole time, where he's obviously preparing for his speech. Like he's preparing for his speech, and every once in a while he looks up. He's like, yeah.
I know that headspace, and I do not envy him. Yeah, it's always hard to speak not first. If you can speak first, it's oh man, the rest of your day is so nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 100% on board with that, right? That's why when I was much, much younger, when I used to do stand-up, it didn't matter where they wanted to put me. I said I always wanted to go first. I always wanted to go first. I want to get my bit done, and then I want to just enjoy the rest of the show. I've always been that way. I always want to talk first because for whatever reason, it's like you're just sitting there soaking in like, oh man, it's, you can't really pay attention to anybody else because you're thinking about your own thing you're going to do. So I 100% agree with that. Fantastic. How about we talk a little bit about what happened afterward? All right. So you deliver your speech, you got the immediate feedback from the audience. You felt like, that went well. Everybody enjoyed it. You probably had people coming up to you, you're like, probably had some hot women coming up to you and say, hey, can we go on a date? But what happened afterward? Well, what did you start to notice?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, after the speech, my friends were so supportive. Like everyone in my life was like, oh, that was so great. That was so good, Nick. Great job. And that felt really good by itself. I mean, and just to get a standing ovation from any audience is just such an honor as a speaker, as it feels amazing. So just kind of like you said, the immediate feedback felt really wonderful. And then I remember somebody posted it on YouTube, and like over the first like couple days, it got like a few thousand views on YouTube. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I got like 1,000 views on YouTube from my speech. And then when it really started to pick up, and like, started, friends of mine were sending me like, a picture of like it on the front page of YouTube, or like it in like some random like news article, or like it on BuzzFeed. And like, the views kind of like kept stacking up. Georgia Tech very quickly realized that they had something on their hands that it would be smart for them to manage. So they very quickly put me in touch with their media team to manage all of the media requests that I started getting. which was so helpful. There's this one guy named Stephen Norris who is effectively like my media coach and handler, and just kind of like he did everything for me, and it was so nice because like I had engineering classes to go to, and it was extremely helpful to have him there being like, hey, like do you have time / interest to do this, and then I'd be like yes or no, and then he could send me off to go talk to at some point it was like Fox got interviews with Fox News, MSNBC, CNN. At one point I got to do the weather for like a local weather station.
That's cool.
Random and fun, like yeah, it was really exciting. It was an excellent 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
How many interviews did you end up doing?
Gosh, I guess between like 20 and 30, I would guess. Yeah.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah, it was a
So
really good time.
how long from the moment the video was posted to the moment that it hits like 500,000 views or something like that, and just like, because I'm assuming the snowball went from this big to this big in about the span that you could toast a Pop-Tart,
Right.
So like
Right.
from you giving that speech to the time that it's now everybody's wanting to talk to you, how long did that take?
That's a good question. I want to say I think it took 3 or 4 days to hit 1 million.
Wow.
And
Okay.
right around that mark is when everybody started reaching out. And that got over, like, I'm like, at that point, like some random news trucks were showing up at my parents' house in Phoenix.
Oh no.
Just like, what? Like,
That's
I
a
don't know,
little
like, yeah.
that's a little
It was-
intrusive, isn't
yeah.
it? Just
It was
for
a
random
little
bands to
strange.
show up at your house. Oh, that's
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Like if I did, like I gave a cool speech and went viral on YouTube. It was super fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm absolutely honored that everything that blew up and people liked it. But like, I'm not sure if that warrants like news truck showing up at your parents' house.
Yeah.
It seems like there's, I don't know. Yeah.
It's a little much. Like,
Yeah,
oh gosh,
exactly.
what do you want?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
actually interested to know the rest of your time as an undergrad, right? So freshman year, normal, then you do a speech and you go viral where you're having multiple interviews. People know your name, people know who you are. And then you have 3 more semesters left. Like what happens there? Did you ever feel, I can only think about like my personality, what I would be doing in that situation. Did you ever feel like, okay, I need to do another speech? Or was that something that you're like, I did my thing, and now I want to focus on, my engineering degree? Like, was there ever a time where you're like,
Sure.
where like someone reached out to you and you're like, hey, you want to do some funny videos? Or is it like, you know what, I've done my thing, and now I'm focusing on serious stuff?
Yeah, I remember there was one point where, one of the really cool things that I got to do afterward was I got to go on YouTube Rewind, which is like a show YouTube puts on every year where they invite a bunch of like viral YouTube video people together, like in one place to do one big video together to kind of celebrate YouTube from that year. So I got to do that, and I got to meet like the overly attached girlfriend, if you remember that meme, Tori Locklear, who's the woman who was trying to do a hair tutorial and burned her hair off, the slow-mo guys, just kind of like all these people who had literally like an order of magnitude more views than my video got, right? And talking with some of them, like they were like relatively normal people, went viral, and like now their careers were like, okay, now I'm gonna like try to turn this into something that I can make money off of long term. Like I am now a celebrity, I am now a YouTuber, I am like, my life is now a meme. And a combination of like, I don't think I have the ability to do that, and also like I just really love engineering, made it so that was never something that was like really on my radar. And don't get me wrong, love speeches, love going viral. Don't know if I could ever like recreate that experience, even if I tried. But yeah, I really like math and engineering and science, and like what I'm doing right now is absolutely a dream job, and I wouldn't want to give it up for anything.
So social media and YouTube stature never, not even for a moment, Even in those moments when you're doing YouTube Rewind, you thought, I wonder what it would be like if I just went this direction instead of this direction. Because it's hard work. It is super hard work. It's crazy.
For sure. Yeah. No, especially like, talking to some of those folks at YouTube Rewind, like it is a full-time plus job for sure. So yeah, I think it's not that I never considered it. It's that I considered it and thought, wow, that sounds terrible. And then never considered it again.
I have those thoughts a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely seems fair. So let me ask you this. Was there ever a time, so it's been, how many years has it been since you delivered that speech? I can't even remember the year on the video. Does it say the year on the video?
2013 is, well, the one I'm looking at.
So 9 years.
Yeah, it's 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time where, like, you said you went to MIT, right?
Yes, sir.
You went to MIT. Was there ever a time when someone says, wait, you're Nick Selby? Are you that Nick Selby? Did that ever happen to you? Or was that kind of like not even an issue?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that definitely does happen very infrequently. I met somebody at a conference recently. We like got along, it was great, and then like later they sent me a LinkedIn request, and like a little message associated with it was just a link to my YouTube video. It's like, haha, and that's it's like it does pop up every once in a while, which is very strange because I'm it's 9 years ago, but it is really cool.
How about let's go ahead and let's talk about what you do now, right? Let's go ahead and obviously we've been focusing on the speech, like 1 moment, 15 seconds of fame, right? Let's talk about what you do now, because I think what you're doing is actually is probably way more important. So let's talk about that.
Thanks. Yeah. So right now I very, very recently, like just a few months ago, got a job as the new director of engineering for Renuvia Solar Africa, which is an engineering procurement and construction company that builds solar powered mini grids in rural Kenya and Nigeria. And I absolutely love it. I'm at a construction site in a refugee camp in northern Kenya right now. And I have been for like a month. And it's so cool. I'm like looking out right now at just like a massive array of solar panels that we put up like over the past few weeks. And it's amazing. I love it.
Nice.
So what we're trying to say is that we wish you would have became a YouTube star rather than helping people get affordable energy. We rather you have been completely selfish and posted more videos of you shaving off your head and jumping into whipped cream and all the other stuff.
And doing ice bucket challenges and stuff.
Ice bucket challenges, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of feels like this. I mean, I do get why this is potentially like more impactful to the world than that, but also like even if it wasn't, like this is so much fun. Like this kind of feels like it could just be the selfish choice, honestly. Like it's so, yeah, I don't know, it's so cool.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth bringing up the fact that obviously there's so many different jobs that you could have, right? And oftentimes the jobs where you're paid a lot of money. Obviously, chasing money is sort of like the American dream. And I've had many jobs, and I know that if you're not happy in the job that you're at, it doesn't matter how much you're getting paid, it's not worth it. Obviously, doing what you love is so much more important than being a YouTube star. Really, what we're doing is we're trying to take down the YouTube stars. We're trying to really bash.
That's it.
That's what we're trying.
They're really wonderful people, and they are really cool. I like them a lot. And also, I probably just couldn't. I don't think I could do what they do. Don't have that skill set even if I wanted to.
Fantastic. Acid, did you have another question for Nick?
I just think it's really impressive that, what you're doing now is really, really impressive, and just what where you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it. I mean, now that I've got to hear your story, and of course I've watched the speech a couple of times and see you now, it's just it just goes to show that yep, you can have your 15 seconds of fame, and then after that do something super cool and super helpful and make the world better and different and leave your own mark. Even if nobody sees it, they're impacted by it, and I think that's really, really cool. And I appreciate what you do, and I'm really glad that you enjoy what you do. So well done. Well done, sir.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, obviously I've been wanting to have you on the show for a long time, and I'm sure I had, a lot more questions to ask you, but I can't think of anything right now. So, and I know we've had you on for quite a bit here, and you got very important things to do, like not building an Iron Man suit.
He's getting to it, Anthony. He's
getting to it.
Okay, just give him 20 more years. We'll be there.
Right.
He'll fly to your house and let you try it on. Okay, how about that?
You'll be the first.
That's it.
But before we head out of here today, once again, I cannot stress enough how you need to check out this video from Nick Selby, Georgia Tech. Confrontation. What was it? What was the name of I'm horrible. I'm an idiot. I really am an idiot.
No worries. Honestly, if you type in Georgia Tech epic speech, it'll pop up. But the name of the speech is a convocation speech.
Convocation speech.
We'll put it in the description. That's okay.
Perfect.
Just scroll down, click it. It'll be there.
Once again, I'm getting a PhD. I don't know.
In media studies.
In media studies. You think I would be able to know how to say words? All right, but that is our show for today. A big thank you to Nick for being on here. It's a blast to be able to talk to you. And obviously, Acid, always good to have you here as well. Before we leave, once again, you can check out all our podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube as well. Also visit sci-figangsters.com. That is the show for today. Goodbye, everybody.